The reason I put ChatGPT third is just because I think it's the Honda Accord of the models. You know what I mean? It's like, it's good. It's going to last. It's going to get you to where you need to go. You're not driving an Audi, but you're also, you're not getting a Hyundai accent. All right, Claude Code is the only thing that has come out recently where universally people are like, this is mind-blowing. This is incredible.
It's like you're back in the 90s here. Yeah, but don't get intimidated, anyone watching. This is criminal.
Like, legitimately, I feel overwhelmed. I really do. Please help me, Liz. Liz, I don't know. It's been a couple of weeks since we've spoken because the summer's crazy. So much has freaking happened.
Yes.
And what I want to talk about today, which we're going to get to, is Claude Code. I think it's the only thing that has universally been talked about in a positive light. You told me just before we hopped on here, that's going to blow my mind, and that you're kind of doing away with all of your other tools that you've been working with because Claude Code is that freaking good. So you're going to walk me through exactly how to open it up, install it, put it on my computer, and then like actually how to use it. But let's set the table a little bit for people before we get to Claude Code. Right now, the model war has not only heated up, it feels like it's kind of cooled down. No?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I don't know if it's the summer doldrums and, people on vacation just sort of chilling, but I've just felt like people who are both doomsday folks as well as like hype, EACC, whatever, folks that are just like, it's going to be utopia, we're all automated. Both sides have just sort of simmered. That's probably because of a couple of releases and also people sort of actually seeing the adoption or even the lack thereof of adoption within organizations. So at least that's the vibe on Twitter.
Okay, so the thing that was crazy to me, what we've seen over the last few months, we've seen Gemini 2.5 come out. We've seen, just in the last week, Claude Opus 4.1. We've seen Grok 4 come out, and now we've seen ChatGPT-5. And what has been interesting about each one of those model releases is I think everybody was holding their breath for ChatGPT-5. Sam Altman was on the press tour, and he's like, GPT-5 is the first time that I actually felt like, wow. You know what I mean? He's like breathlessly describing GPT-5. And then it comes out, and we start looking at this. So this is my ChatGPT. I asked it to compare all of these new models.
Mm-hmm.
And the interesting thing is, if you look up here on the top, we've got all of these tests that they've used to sort of score these models. This over here, this is humanity's last exam. It's a crazy, crazy hard test. And you can see here, GPT-5 scored 25 and 26. I don't know what the text or tools only difference is, but let's just combine those two for right now. So it's a hard test, scores a 25 out of 100. Grok 4 scores a 50. Okay, that's weird. Grok 4 is a better model. And then I start going and playing with GPT-5. And at first I'm excited because they're like, oh, the persistent memory has been improved. Oh, cool. Now I can remember all of my chats across all of my projects, which I didn't used to be able to do. So that was a really cool improvement. Then they were like, and we've improved the way that we actually process your prompts. The way that we batch them now, there's an equal weight given to your questions as opposed to it being more focused on the end of your prompt as opposed to the beginning of your prompt. The processing is supposed to be faster as well because of this new batching, I guess, technique that they've implemented. And they've taken away all of the O3 mini, O3 mini high, ChatGPT 4, whatever. And it's just kind of like three models.
Yep.
But I've played around with it. It's okay. It's like a little bit better, but it just kind of feels this time like an iteration and not a step function change.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you're talking about. Like the vibe is kind of shifted from you're wowed every 6 months with a new model to, okay, now it's just iterative.
Yep. And I think what's going on, so there's a number of things you just highlighted. So first off, it does feel like a lot of the models and their features are just converging. They're in terms of having parity. So, one will have this feature around video generation, the next will pop out with it. That's sort of what it seems like is happening overall. But I do think with ChatGPT-5, like we were expecting, yes, to have it blow our minds. But one of the things that I think people are at least underappreciating is sort of who the audience is and then what they did with the product. So less so about like the technology behind it, but actually the product. So I think one big
100%.
challenge was that, you had to select the model. Like most people using ChatGPT don't know what 3 means, 3.5, 4, 5, like they don't know the difference. Then they started giving, more options. And there's the concept of the paradox of choice. When you have too many options, you're overloaded and you don't know what to use for what. I personally like that because you could get different outputs and you'd get some interesting nuances when you played around with those different combinations. However, for the average person, like they've simplified it and actually sort of reminds me of like Google's first search bar. They had just one box, and now that's what ChatGPT-5 is. It's like one box, no choices. Like, here you go, put in your prompt. And so I think from knowing that ChatGPT has more of the average consumer across their large distribution.
They're removing friction, basically, is like they're making it easier, and they've made it multimodal. And what I mean by that is typically people talk about multimodal as text, picture, video, sound. AI can do all of those things and then spit something out. That's not what I mean. I mean, in this context, it can kind of toggle between the chain of thought that you would get with the O3, the LLM based model that you're getting with 4.0, and the image generation. So it's like making its own judgment based on its own discretion of which model to use based on the question that you're asking. So that part is cool. I think the other thing that's cool is it does a much better job at multi-step tasks.
Yes.
So, for example, if I'm like, go do research on this market, then take the research and run it through this criteria, then take the output from there and rank all of them from best to worst. It used to not be able to do that. That would be too much for it. It's gotten better at sort of this multi-step execution. So those things are all cool, but to your point, they just made it easier to use, right? Like the iPhone has always just been the iPhone. It's just simple. Everyone knows what they're getting out of an iPhone, and I think they took a product step. I don't know do you think that's a Johnny Ive thing? Like, is this a Johnny Ive fingerprint, or do you think this was in the works?
I mean, it probably was in the works because people gave this feedback. I mean, this thing was all over the internet from users. You could sort of see this. And I think there's that piece of it. And then there's probably the cost element too, because if you run a simple prompt for deep research, that eats up a lot of costs. And while there was a lot of rate limiting everything, they're probably doing it from a cost optimization standpoint, since they're probably burning a ton of cash on, the GPUs. So I bet that was also a factor in how they came to doing this. So it was probably some users, some of that, maybe Johnny Ive, I don't know.
So we talked about this. Claude Code is the only thing that has come out recently where universally people are like, this is mind blowing. This is incredible. We have to do Claude Code. So we're going to get to that in a second. Before we do, now, after all these models have been released, how would you rank these models best to worst? Let's just use the 4 horsemen: Grok 4, Gemini, ChatGPT, Claude. How would you rank them?
So I will qualify this. It depends on the use case, but I will do a net in terms of actually how I'm using or which ones I most frequently use. So I'll use that as my metric. So Anthropic, Claude, then I would say Grok for sure. And Grok, I really like for like real-time information. And then I just started using it with coding. But again, and getting back to the friction point that we'll get into with Claude Code, there's still just so much friction with all the other ones to like build things. And so when I'm just using it from like conversation and research, that's And then third, Gemini. And then I'll say ChatGPT is my lower.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's my ranking. So video is cool, but I have what scientists call a face for radio. And so what's even cooler is long form audio via my podcast and my newsletter, Nikonomicspod.com. Go there for free. Subscribe to my newsletter. It's 1 email per week. It's super tactical. And then go to my audio podcast. I do 3 to 5 episodes a week, depending on how curious I am. And it's stuff like this. It's all free. No sleazy sales pitches. Nikonomicspod.com. Number 1, Grok. I don't use Grok the most. I do think it's probably the best just general purpose model at this point. Pretty crazy that they become a frontier model in like 2 iterations. Nuts. 2, Claude. Dude, like the 4.1 update it's really good. And Claude has done a really good job, I think, making it easy for the user. Their projects are incredible. The artifacts now, the way that you can store artifacts I'm using it all the time. Like, you were the first one to show me. I use it all the time now. It's incredible. 3rd is ChatGPT. And then 4th is Gemini. The reason I put ChatGPT 3rd is just because I think it's the Honda Accord of the models. You know what I mean? It's like, it's good. It's going to last. It's going to get you to where you need to go. You're not driving an Audi, but you're also, you're not getting a Hyundai accent. You got a nice car. It does what it's supposed to. It's a good thought partner. And frankly, I still use it the most just because it has so much information on me. It can like quickly give me good answers. And I'm trying to migrate to Claude and Grok, but it's going to take some time. So that's my ranking for right now.
Well, and I think you bring up a really good point is there is a stickiness to all these products. Like we're probably power users versus again, the average person using them. Like most people, I know I've heard people say like, oh, well, I set things up in ChatGPT, so I'm just sticking with it, or that's the one I want to learn because there's a perception that it's hard to get into the other ones or, set up all your context. And so like, I do think that's huge value that ChatGPT has. And so like, even if they sort of stayed at this level for a while, they're not going to have much churn or attrition or see behavioral changes from people switching. Like power users, yes, maybe. But I think you're starting to see these guys sort of focus on a specific type of user, or at least like consider the majority of their base and cater their iterations and development towards that.
Yeah. It's very easy to get lost in the moment and think like, oh, ChatGPT's falling behind. Oh, OpenAI. Oh, Sam Altman. Yes, all that stuff is probably true if you're forward looking. But what they've done in the last 2 years, 3 years, however long it's been since they launched 3.0, I think it was 3.0, that was the first one, or 3.5. Anyways, it's undeniable. Even if they don't grow at the same rate, even if they lose market prominence, they've got a multi-$100 billion company.
Yeah.
It's a legit company. They've got a good product now. They've got a good team. They've probably lost a lot of people to the brain drain because freaking Mark Zuckerberg's paying $1 billion to people.
Wild.
It's like sports contracts. It's nuts. But they're entrenched. They're a market leader in this space. And to your point, I think we underestimate how sticky these products are and will be moving forward. So, okay, you're going to show me Claude Code.
Yes.
What do I need to do? Do you want me to share my screen first, or do you want to share your screen?
Share your screen so that we can go through like step by step.
Here we go. Claude Code. So I click on Claude Code over here and I get this like settings. It doesn't just come up. So it's actually not in Claude. You have to open the terminal on your computer. So I'm going to do this step-by-step thing so that people can actually follow along and take advantage of this really, really cool iteration that Claude has released to us. So if you're in Claude, you come over here on the left-hand side, click on Claude Code. Now, in order to Claude Code, you have to have the Max or the Pro plan. And I think is it $100 a month?
I know one of them, I want to say is like, one of them is $100.
It's not cheap. It's not cheap, but I think after you see what we're about to do, you'll be convinced. So you click here, we're going to click on install instructions, and this window pops up. Okay. And this is where I got like overwhelmed because I'm like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I'm not a coder. What's this green screen? Am I trying to hack into the Pentagon? What am I supposed to do from here?
Okay, so actually just back up one sec so people aren't turned off by the $100. Pro is only $17 a month, so it's accessible.
Oh, sorry.
The Max is $100 a month, but you'll probably want to graduate to the Max plan once you've utilized the Pro. But okay, so
good call.
$17, so it's accessible. Okay, so now you're here at this little black box, scary looking text. Yep. So what you're going to want to do is in that upper right-hand corner is that little copy icon within the black box, not copy page.
Oh, yep.
Within the black box. Yep, copy that. All right.
Okay.
So what you're going to do is go to...
So you could also come here? I think I opened this link.
Okay.
And you'll walk me through it, I know. But this was the link that I just clicked on. And this kind of walks you through is like, all right, step 1, install Claude Code. And this node.js 18, what is that?
That's just a language. So there's all these things, like libraries and languages, which is basically like, just think of it as like sets of code that your computer can access and use. They're not all set up on your computer when you open up or about to open up. So you do have to but copy and paste these lines. Like you don't even need to type them, just copy and paste these lines and it'll include those.
All right. So you're looking at my terminal now.
Yes.
Okay. So for folks at home, make sure you have Node.js 18 or newer. Now we can get into this, which is installing Anthropic. Yep. So I'll come here, copy, paste. Yes. Cool.
Now actually just see if you just type in Claude, what happens. See if you're ready. Yes.
Okay. So allow.
Yep.
Allow. So is this it?
This is it. This is it. You've arrived. It's like really like you're back in the 90s here. And yeah, but
Oh,
don't get intimidated, anyone watching. This is
like
criminal.
legitimately, I feel overwhelmed.
Yeah.
I really do. Please
It's
help me, Liz.
There are better user interfaces that we'll get to maybe in a future video, but we'll keep it
Okay.
simple. Right. So pick your
Okay.
like dark mode, light mode, pick your
Oh, do I just click on it or like what do I do?
put in the number. So
Where do I
say
put it in?
you just start typing and it'll put
One.
in. Okay.
Oh,
Yep.
2. What the freak? What's happening?
Now it needs to log in to your actual Anthropic account. So it opened up the browser on your behalf, and now you got to log in to whichever account is associated with your Claude account.
I've never worked in a console before, so I just type. I don't like.
Yeah, so there are some like things that get annoying, like copy and paste, like to go back, like you have to delete, and it's like like you have to. It's not the best interface, and you'll get annoyed at certain points. But
Okay.
for the most part, like this is the best starting just to get a
Do I
of it.
do I just need to make sure I remember that it's in users Nicholas Haluski?
Okay, so
That's my file path.
So for your file path, you can create new ones from here as well. So once you get into Claude, you can actually tell it
Okay.
create new folders. So think about where you want to have, all your files that it'll be generated
Interesting.
accessing stored. So if you want to have it like right now, I use documents as the main folder, and then I have Claude code is literally the name of the folder. And then from there, I have
Okay.
projects that I'll name and then have those.
But it's stored locally. It's not. I'm not storing this to like the Google Drive or anything.
Correct. Right now, this is not connected. Well, I shouldn't say it's not connected to the internet because it is. It's not like the files you're generating are not going to be like hosted on a website. They're going to like when you open up what you've done, it'll be on a local site called localhost : and then it'll have a number.
It's asking me to how does blank file path work? So I just enter in a document?
Yeah. So just say where would you want, say, create a new folder. Okay.
This kind of feels MCP-ish. Am I off?
Sort of, I guess so. A little bit. A little bit. It actually does use MCP in some ways when you need it to, but I want people just to realize you are just speaking English to it once you're in Claude.
I guess what I meant by MCP is like I can now have access to my local files on my desktop without having to go like copy, paste,
Correct.
import.
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So Claude code has been created successfully.
Yes.
What
Okay. So now we get to build a project. So I don't know if it would be helpful we could kick off one, or I can maybe give a preview of some end states of things I've recently built.
So this is it. I'm in Claude code.
You're in Claude code. So now let me actually, before we get started with some of my stuff, there's a couple of things that are important to know when you're about to get started. Okay. Number one, if you don't know what to do, you can literally prompt here, what do I do, Claude? Like just ask Claude, what do I do? The second thing that's super important is say like switch to planning mode. Planning mode helps you actually think through and break down what you're going to be doing in your project. So think of them as a project manager who's like, you're the hyped up CEO that like is like, I want to do this cool thing. Then someone goes and figures out like, how do you do that and implement it? So that's sort of what Claude will do in planning mode. It'll help break things down into smaller chunks to figure out the best way to build what you want to build. So again, it is using both Sonnet and Opus models, which is another thing to highlight is you might want to switch back and forth between those. And the only sort of like pseudocode you'll need to know is like /model and select which one. But if you go to planning mode, it'll optimize and go Opus, and then you'll switch back to Sonnet because your tokens will get eaten quickly. And so this is just like a little thing to know. There's a bunch of other, as you can see grayed out, like other things you'll be able to learn. I don't want to overwhelm people.
What's a working directory?
Working directory, that's basically like your file folder. That's a directory like as a folder. So like when you're, again, in code language, it would be like CD and then, making a directory mkdir, like other little things you would say or type in.
I can build an agent?
Yeah, you can build an agent in here. Like you can build like anything in here. Like it's really that awesome. So people who maybe were like, I tried N8N or I tried make.com and it just seemed too much. Like, and you maybe like Lovable, maybe Replit were just a bit more accessible, but then you would get stuck. This is basically that level of easiness from the Replit and lovable type thing, but add the full scope of functionality that like an edit and make would actually fulfill. So it is really the best of everything. And it does it all in code, and it makes it just easy because you're typing or speaking to it in English or your native language, and it is building the things.
All right. So I just asked it a question. I said, I would like to create an agent, but I don't know what type of agent that I want. Can you help me think through what agent I should start with?
Mhm.
Cool. I hit enter, and then I could see it thinking. And then I saw this tokens. It was like tokens being used.
Yeah.
When I went in the beginning and I had to select the $5,
Yes.
it's you. So I'm now paying on top of what I already pay in a membership or a subscription to use this.
So I'm using the max plan where I don't pay attention.
But theoretically, yes.
Yeah.
If they're tracking my tokens.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's like something you could maybe build to start is like track my tokens and my usage just to make sure, because then if you're not on the bigger plan, you're going to want to start optimizing for token usage. Like they'll get eaten quickly. There are some tips and tricks to address that. So you don't do that. Number one, you want to be using Sonnet instead of Opus for planning, Sonnet for building. And then number two, you're going to want to clear your chats, because what's happening right now is it's taking in the full context, meaning your whole history of your chat every time, and then it'll start taking in all your files. So when you start clearing the chats and you start building like a new feature, you want to make sure you're sort of summarizing things so that there's enough context to be added in where it's not taking in everything from before, because when you're putting in everything, you're going to be eating a ton of tokens.
One thing, and then I want you to show me your project. Do I close this or do I just always keep this open?
Okay, so you want to keep this open. This is the other thing. Like I've started building my own little tool for like tracking things, because when you close this, it's gone, the chat's gone, but your files will remain. So your project and your files will remain there, so you can still access your project, and you'll just have to tell Claude to go access the folder.
Yeah.
And then, but if you don't have a ton of like history or context, there might be things that are missed. The second thing is like, if you're like, it made a change and you didn't like the change, like there's not an easy way to go backwards. So you're going to want to use GitHub. And this is where you're going to have to set up GitHub. And that's a little bit of, a process. Maybe we could do that next week. I don't know for right now. It will take a little bit of time, but that is something that's super important to do.
Isn't it called a markdown as you're like writing code? So you save different versions or no?
Yes. Okay. So that's a .md file is what you're talking about, markdown. So you're going to want to create something called claude.md, which it now sort of does automatically. It'll create this file, which is essentially your rules file. That's like your master thing to say, okay, Claude, you can tell it, okay, every time I make a change, add it to my update GitHub. And I actually think it is doing that relatively automatically or very frequently on its own. But you'll put in the rules there, like things you want to remember.
Okay. Yeah. We'll look at GitHub later. I want to now stop sharing my screen, and I'm going to let you do your thing.
Yes.
If I did close it, how would I go reopen it?
Okay. So you would again go open terminal and literally blank screen, Claude, and it'll pop up. You'll see that little like
sweet.
Yeah, it'll show you and then say, what do you want to do with basically? And then you just prompt in, and then you'll just say, go to folder X, Y, and Z.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, I don't know if you remember this, but when we started this podcast, we entered into a social contract. I would spend time, energy, and money producing this podcast, interviewing these individuals, and giving you insights into how to build, buy, start, grow your business. And you would like, subscribe, and leave me 5-star review. Now, out of that, we both get to talk to really cool people and hear really cool insights. We both get a ton of value. But I just want to help you keep your word. So would you do me a favor? Will you go leave a 5-star review for me on Apple or Spotify? It would really help. And if you want, even share this with a friend.
All right. So let me share my screen. So this is the end state of some projects I was recently working on. So basically what I started with and how I got here.
Well, before you do that, will you just describe what I'm looking at?
Okay, so this one right here is a data cleanup tool. This is like, it's very ugly, but it's functional, a data analysis tool. And this is basically the output of Claude doing the full analysis for me. And I had it in a couple different ways. So,
and what am I looking at? Am I looking at like a I'm so stupid. I'm sorry. A Word doc? Is this like an HTML file? Like what is this?
Can't see for some reason when I share my screen here, let me see if I pop it out, if it shows. Nope, because then it.
Like, did you open that up from the files that was saved locally on your computer?
Yes. So this is something called, you can't see it unfortunately, but basically you have something called localhost colon 8000. Rather than having a URL to a website up in my browser in Chrome, I have localhost colon 8000.
So when you double click, you open that file, it opens in Chrome, the
So
localhost 8000.
when I was in Claude, I said, can you provide like an HTML site for me to see this tool?
Uh-huh.
It provided me literally this address, this localhost address. So then I copy and pasted it and put it in my browser. And I think I even just was able to click on it from Claude and it popped up. So
Wow.
if you don't know where to locate your thing, ask Claude, say, where do I find this thing you just built for me? Or how can I view it in X, Y, and Z way? How can I see it in a browser? How can I see it in some manner in a CSV file? It will tell you where to go. So if you don't know what to do, again.
Interesting.
So this is basically the end of a project. Backing up a sec with some context of what this was about. I had an Excel spreadsheet from scraping. Well, actually, first off, I was trying to get an analysis on what geographic locations had certain jobs that there were a lot of job openings, basically to see where there might be gaps in supply and demand for certain types of jobs. So what I did was I had initially built out an NAN scraper that would use Appify and essentially scraped Indeed and a bunch of other websites. That took forever because the tool I was using was just like throwing in one by one URL, scraping it. It would take some time, blah, blah, blah. Then I ended up with a CSV file that was 300,000 rows by about 30 different columns. So that was a ton of data. Then I started adding formulas into that and it just got huge and heavy and I started crashing Excel. It was a lot that was very text heavy. So I was like, I need to classify the data and I needed to extract some information from that text. So I was like, I cannot do this by hand. I can't do this with any of my like Excel skills because it would just either take too much time.
Interesting.
It would take too much, like it just was getting really frustrating because again, it would take, pinwheel, a nightmare for me. So I was like, okay, let me try to build something in NaN. So I went in again and I built something out and I'm like, this is going to take forever. Google spreadsheets I couldn't access from NaN. Doing my local CSV was like a problem. So I updated it to like a database by Google called BigQuery, which is then a SQL database. So then it's like getting, levels of complication that, the average person is just not going to do. So I was like, maybe I can use Claude Code. So I went back to Claude Code. I went to my terminal and I started down this process. So what I first thought was, okay, I need to think about this step by step because that's how I've been, sort of taught within the context of make.com, Zapier, and you have to think through the process.
So, I'm going to stop you for 1 second. So for people that are listening, when she's saying NaN, make.com, Lindy, Zapier, these are all websites that help you build automations. So they act like the hub, but they've got very specific, if this, then that. Rules set in place. So what she's talking about is she's kind of been trained on thinking through, all right, under the current model of setting up automations, how do I create this software? But Claude Code is not like that. So sorry, keep going.
Exactly. So I was like, okay, the first step of what I need to do is just clean up the data where I need to basically be extracting information and then I'm going to be classifying it. So those were the two things, classifying it, and then I'm going to be analyzing it. So those were sort of the three buckets of things I needed to do. So I'm like, okay, I need to build tools specific to each. So I went through, and this was the first one I did, and I wish I had taken some screenshots of what it originally looked like. But essentially what I had was literally uploading a CSV. I didn't even prompt it really for any sort of UI elements. It just generated this on its own.
Okay.
And I basically told it, okay, here's some context about my project. I said, here's what I'm trying to do. I need to upload the CSV. Here's some of the things. And I gave it a lot of like context. I gave it a lot of information to basically help produce a file. And here I can do this real quick. See if I can.
So you upload the CSV. What is it? What did you tell it to pull out?
Yeah. So
did you say like, go to this column and pull this information from the specific column?
Exactly. So I was making specific rules based on like how I was thinking about it from, I think this is the right one. Okay. From like what I would do manually. Like I was thinking, okay,
Right.
here's this data structure because it was very consistent structures, but there was some variation of like the city first, then the job title first, or like at different parts in the sentences. So I was like breaking that down and trying to give Claude that context rather than having it figure it out on its own. So I don't actually know if this was the right file. So let's see. And we'll only do a test batch.
I literally had this almost the exact conversation about this 2 weeks ago.
About Claude Code?
No, like about this problem set. So I was talking to an accountant,
Uh-huh.
and he's the only one within his organization that reviews all of the credit card transactions and all the transactions that they do through a marketplace.
Okay.
And there's hundreds of thousands of them a month. Maybe not hundreds, tens of thousands of them a month. And I asked him, I'm like, how do you decide when a red flag or a yellow flag is triggered based on the spending habits? He's like, I kind of just eyeball it. And based on what I've seen month over month over month, if anything looks out of whack, I'll double click into it. And I was like, well, are you coding each one of these expenses? He's like, nah, not really. Anyways, he gave me his whole explanation. And I'm like, well, why don't you code it? Or he's like, well, I would have to go in and actually tell it the right rules. Look for this word, and then this word means this, et cetera. And unfortunately, it just doesn't have the context that it needs. And I was like, you realize you just like described the use case of AI, right? It uses context to make decisions. And he was like, yeah, but how would I use AI to go through these massive spreadsheets and then code the expenses based on my experience where they should go? And I was like, I don't know. That's actually a good question. I was already thinking through it. This is it. It's like you just built a tool to do that.
Yes. I mean, this comes up in so many situations, and this is literally like the initial, I would say, use case of like classifying text.
Holy crap.
Yeah. So, okay. So I just uploaded a CSV. So as you can see, this one has 113 rows, 113,000 rows. So what I built was then specific to like this use case, the column that I'm basically extracting the text that I want to categorize. And then I just have also like a little unique identifier just for future reference as well.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to process the whole thing because it'll take a couple minutes, but we're going to do a test batch. And here we'll just do this, maybe like 50. So through N8N, this would take like a couple hours to run through to classify through an AI agent, which you could do.
Mm-hmm.
And then you could build out like parallel processing on that N8N, but it would get very convoluted. Watch how quickly this is. Literally, I clicked it and it popped up.
Holy crap.
So this is within minutes. So essentially what I have here and what I had it do, and again,
that's not minutes.
This is like seconds.
Seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be minutes if I did 100,000. The 50 rows was
holy
seconds.
Crap.
Yeah. So
wait, so what is this confidence category type?
Yep. So it actually came up with this concept. I didn't even prompt it to create a confidence. It is basically how confident is it that it actually produced the right extraction. So I was trying to get this number, this count number in the count column.
Yeah.
I also was looking for a job title and a category. So as you can see, or you probably can't see too well in here, I have the text, which is 405 jobs within housing provider. Okay, that was a generic one. Okay, so 10 SLPA home health jobs in Arizona, and it got cut off a little bit, but that's basically that. And I think it has one more sentence. So I wanted that 10 number, I wanted this SPL, and then I wanted Arizona.
Wow.
Yeah. So here it has the city. So this basically says it doesn't have a city.
So it didn't do the scraping. You still did the scraping through those automation tools. It's doing the analysis.
It's doing the analysis. You could do the scraping though. I hadn't, but you could.
Tell me about the confidence score. Like, why is it 50%? Why is it 80%?
This is basically saying, like, based on the rules I provided, how like accurate it thinks it is based on how it categorized it. And then I had put in to classify it as like, if you see certain words within this structure of like the number, the job title, and then jobs available. So that was like consistent text structure, then extract this. I had some other rules where then we'll classify in general. And basically I created a rule set that I was prompting in. And I had to iterate through with Claude to say, oh, this classified it wrong. So here's an example. I took the text, put it back into Claude and said, here's this what happened, adjust the rule.
So when it created this, it saved it to one of your local files And then you said, hey, I like that tool. How do I open it in my browser? And it was like, oh, yeah, just copy and paste this into your browser. And it pulled up.
Exactly.
Functioning.
Yes, functioning.
The freak?
So let me actually pull up my folder structure just so you can see what these folders.
Dude, I could build an accounting company that does bookkeeping
1,000%.
like in 30 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So let's share my screen again. This is all of my Claude code files. So a few things I did without actually putting them in the proper place, and I'll need to create project folders for these rogue things. So this was without me saying to put it in a folder, but like here was the job scraper we were just looking at. Here's all the files it created. It created test folders. It created source data, the exports that I've generated. Okay, I don't know why they're not there. Data that it's using, templates and sessions, config, checkpoints. So this is everything. I did not ever come in here at all. The only thing I ever did was even ask it, like, where's my CSV file I can download just to like check things out. And then it even just gave me the link or location.
Oh my gosh. Liz, you were right. You were right. This is freaking incredible. Clear my calendar. Clear my calendar. Jeez.
Yeah. So literally so maybe let's go through a little bit of a process. Let me show a couple other quick examples on like what I ended up getting to, because I think this was a useful lesson that people can learn from. I went down again this path of, okay, great. Then I got this to a point where I felt good with the data. Then I was like, I need to analyze it. So then I had created a prompt of like, do this analysis. I said, use like concept, because it's simple analysis. It's like pivot tables and other things, but it's just over a large data set. There's going to be weird quirks. So I gave it a bunch of what I thought it needed to do. So again, like what I have here is literally like, okay, so this is like thinking about my file. This is super ugly, but like this, all the rows, and basically says, okay, what do I want to do? This is actually the wrong file, but basically here's the things with data, you like calculate them. And then I like click through to like a couple other prompts that'll do, and it'll generate an analysis.
Wait. Do you click on these? Are you like, yeah, I want this, I want this, I want this?
Yeah, so
it's just like a pick and choose.
Job number, like really the only thing I want here are like these numbers. And then let me go see if I can.
Would you click on it? Like, are you clicking on it saying, yep, these are the things I want?
So it's saying selected and it's going right there. So jobs, this is all the things.
Holy crap.
Yep. So it's like, this is my little user interface, even though it's ugly. Job number.
Who cares if it's ugly?
Right.
It works.
Okay. So hold on.
Holy crap.
This is what I selected. And then it populates.
What? It's already there?
It's already there. So it's showing.
It's like live filtering?
Yeah, it's live filtering and showing like a subset of the sum, the average, the min, the max. I can export this, basically pivot table, blah, 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 blah. The next step was then I basically said, okay, I told it to like create context and goals. We'll just say, job listing results from Google, identify total jobs per category by city. And then basically I had some data mapping, which I recommended. So we're going to just do it by on a state level, job title. I just forgot which one it's going to be.
Now, again, it created all this based off a natural language prompt that you said, all right, now I want you to look at it. Ask me what my goals are. Ask me what my analysis goals are. Make sure the data is like, how did you do the data mapping? I don't even get.
Yeah. So I just told it like literally here, I want when you create this data analysis, make sure I can identify which column is the geography and which is the job title. And like, you don't even have to be specific on that, because I'll show you in the next one, what worked even better was giving it less context. So like you can craft it specifically to what you want in the workflow. But what I found, and I don't know if this is going to fail or work. So let's see, because it was failing before, which is, analysis failed. Okay. So it does work with a few of them. It did work out on a few. I have to iterate this. But when I like had some bottlenecks here, I'm like, you know what? Can I just give it my files and have it build me what I need? And it did. So
what the freak?
Yeah.
So oh my gosh, this looks incredible.
So don't get concerned or worried about all the stuff I just said. Like all the stuff I just said was like, you have to think really hard. Like don't be dumb and just say, I want this answer. Say, Claude, I am looking for, I have data that has jobs and cities. I want to figure out how to analyze which cities have the most jobs opening. And then you might have to iterate through and like whatever. This was basically showing job categories, statistical analysis, showing the average jobs.
And it's interactive.
It's interactive. It hover. And I didn't prompt it or tell it to do this. This even builds.
I mean, it looks like a Tableau or like Power BI dashboard.
Totally. And I didn't tell it to do any of this stuff. Like it just did it for me. Like at one point it was like color coded because the text was like overlapping and it was hard to read. But like those are small things. But yeah, like this I thought was pretty cool. Like this shows state statistic summaries, like top 5 categories it did for me. So I didn't have to think about that. The concentration based on the location, which I added it in to say like what are the closest.
Oh my gosh.
How far away it's from major metros, because like it had a whole bunch of like cities that I'm like, I can't look at 1,000 cities and figure out sites. So
basically you did a prompt is like, I'm trying to figure out how many whatever openings there are per city. It gives its first iteration and then you're like, I didn't really, the color's kind of overlapping here, change the color. Actually, I want to see how far it is from a major airport. Can you add that? Like that's how you iterated to this?
That's how I iterated to this. And I did give it the CSV file, so it analyzed it. So it basically said, okay, here's what it is. So I gave it that context. But yeah, it figured it all out and it did a better job than what I was coming up with. And so it did the data cleaning, it did the job extraction, and it did the analysis without going through these 2 things. So I started from scratch.
Because you thought, okay, I have all this data. First, I got to clean it.
Yeah.
Then I got to put it in a format that the AI is going to like, and then I can give it the prompt that I really want to get out of it.
Yeah, that's what I thought. And I was wrong.
You're wrong. Claude Code was like, nah, I got you.
Yeah.
I'll figure that part out.
So I first got into planning mode. So I told Claude, I said, go to planning, switch to planning. So all this like grayed out text is me. The white is Claude. It says, I understand you want to go to planning mode. And this is exactly what I said. I have a CSV file with 100,000 rows and around 13 or so columns. I didn't even give it exact numbers. I want to identify patterns and trends and insights based on the job title and geographies, and I even had a spelling error of the title. For context, I scrape search results based on the pattern of Indeed, the job title, city, state. That's all I gave it. And it basically gave me like, an earlier version of this, which, had a little bit of tweaks, but essentially what I just showed. And so as you can see, just so you can see how this played out and my interactions with it. Okay, I need to do data exploration and understanding. So it loaded the CSV, the structure. So it actually went and looked for the CSV file in the folder. Because I remember this happened. At first I hadn't loaded it in and it said I couldn't find a CSV file. So it found a different one. And I was like, no. And then I put it in that folder and it found the CSV file I was talking about.
Jeez.
Yeah. So then it went through and broke down what the plan would be. So again, I didn't tell it to do data cleaning. It figured that out on its own. I didn't say do geographic analysis. It figured it out. Then figured out like pattern analysis and then the visualization and how I could export it. So then it created a to-do list of what I needed to do. And then literally I was just pressing enter. It'll go through these steps. And then you can iterate. And so then it gave me, let's see where the local host is. Okay, so it processed it first. Okay, referenced the CSV file. It wrote a bunch of code. There were some errors. It fixed its errors. I didn't even notice it because it was dealing with it. Perfect. He said, now it has a clear understanding. Updated the to-dos. Wrote it. Great. More
my goodness.
it. So let me see where some of the endpoints here. So again, it's showing you the to-do list and it's going through what it's doing, what it's next, all that. And then here's, it successfully completed the job listing analysis project. It provided a summary of what it did. I didn't ask it. It just does this automatically. Shared key insights for me. It initially created a bunch of, I remember, before it created the HTML, it actually created a bunch of images of charts. And then it created reports in like JSON and MD and CSV files. So it's like, okay, but I really want to see this in an
and then that saved it in that local folder.
Saved it in local. And then it said,
oh, can you make this interactive on a local host HTML UI? Oh, okay.
So then it basically created that dashboard for me.
All right. Hopefully you liked that episode. And if you've made it this far, you're either really committed or you're stuck doing yard work and you can't actually skip on your phone. So while I have you, the show is growing, but I have a favor to ask of you. Will you please help me grow the show? I want to reach more people. There's a couple things that you can do. Like and subscribe is the simplest thing. Obviously, you want to get notifications for when the next episode is coming out. But if you go the next step, will you leave me a review? 5-star on Spotify or Apple, what that does is it tells the algorithm that, oh, hey, this is a high value podcast because more people are leaving reviews for it. And it then pushes it out to more people. So that's why when people are like, will you like and subscribe and put a 5-star rating? It's not just to make themselves feel better. It's actually to get more exposure for the show. So if you do that for me, I would greatly appreciate it. And I'll see you next time.